I think a lot of young people are going to be very curious about. This is not taught enough in the education system. But can we stop inflation? Why do you think the carbon tax is unnecessary? I wouldn't mind paying tax if I see my tax dollars being well spent. How can we get people to be happier in their jobs? How can we make homes more affordable? And second, how do we have people keep more money? Because you need to do both at the same time. Do you agree? Federal elections are upcoming in 2025, and there's a lot to unpack here. Today, we're here with Jason. He's a nomination candidate for the federal conservatives, and he's been involved in the political sphere for over 6 years now. Today, we're going to unpack some important policies in the upcoming federal elections. And I'm excited to learn about it. You prepared a lot of important topics here, which I'm very curious about. And I think a lot of young people are going to be very curious about. Because recently, I've been learning about this political space a lot, and I'm like, this is not taught enough in the education system. And I feel like this is something everyone should know, right? Well, why do you think that is?
Well, I came here when I was 12, 13 years old with my family, immigrated from China. And I've actually grown up here watching CTV News.
Okay, you watched CTV News when you were 12 years old?
Yes, I did.
I was watching Pokemon.
Oh, you were? Okay. I didn't too much of that, I guess. I was watching this TV or a news channel, CTV News.
Okay.
And Lloyd Robertson was a fine gentleman.
Who?
Lloyd Robertson.
That's probably we're a different generation.
He's no longer with us, but
Okay.
He's a fine gentleman. I loved watching him, giving out the news.
Yeah.
So with all the knowledge I've learned on those news and current events, I had grown a very deep interest in politics, and also got a very good understanding that politics, in fact, affect us in a very different and big ways.
Right. So politics, to my understanding, I mean, politics covers a lot, but I would say, like, let's say if I were to start a YouTube channel today on politics, I would say the main thing that stands out about this topic is policies, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what we're going to cover today is axe attacks, jobs and economy, banning harmful drugs, safer community, affordable homes, and those are the main 5, right?
That's right.
All right, let's get into it. Okay, so obviously right now you're a candidate for the federal conservatives, so you need to be aligned with their vision, right? But I think politics is actually quite complicated where you can have a lot of opinions from different parties. What's your thoughts on that first?
Well, first of all, I'm not a candidate for the Federal Conservative Party yet.
Okay.
So what I'm working towards is the nomination to become the candidate for the Federal Conservative. And yes, you're right. Being in the party, most of the policy ideas will likely align, but it doesn't mean that one, as a candidate, nomination candidate in my case, cannot have their own take or opinion.
Right.
So very often people can have their own opinion, and that's okay.
Right. All right. Let's talk about some of these policies. Number 1 is axe attacks. So I think this is a super big one right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's get into it. Axe attacks. So right now, the first thing you wrote down here is axing the carbon tax. First, tell me what the carbon tax is.
Well, carbon tax is basically a tax on everything that we need to live. Okay,
everything.
So the food, the gas that you're taking, to drive, and not just that. Okay, it started from the food that when it was being, just a seed.
Okay.
You plant it in the ground. It's in the greenhouse. Okay, any energy sources you use to produce anything is being taxed. So it's not just at the pump that you're paying for.
It's not just gas.
It's not just gas. Yeah, it's way more than that.
So carbon tax is all energy forms, a tax on energy?
Yeah, it's a tax on every form of energy being used.
Well, okay, for example, besides gas, what is also energy? Electricity?
Yes.
But you say like planting seeds. What kind of energy is that?
We're living in a very cold place.
Okay.
It's called Canada.
Right.
Okay, it's a beautiful country, but it tends to be cold.
Right.
So most of the vegetables and stuff needs to be grown. If they're grown locally, it has to be
they're grown in a
greenhouse,
controlled climate.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is also takes energy.
Okay. So what is the tax amount on the carbon tax right now?
So the estimated tax amount is roughly around just over $1,000, between $1,000 to $2,000.
What do you mean? A year?
A year for a typical family of 3 or 4.
Oh, wait. Families are paying the carbon tax, not businesses?
No, every single one.
Everyone's
for
paying
example,
a carbon tax?
You're paying at the pump, right? So you're paying.
Oh, is this on top of GST? This is another tax on top?
Yes, it's you're paying a price at the pump, and the price at the pump is including GST as well as carbon tax.
And that carbon tax is included in the total amount, or it's another tax?
No, it's included in the total amount.
Right. It
so
just
you're
we're not
paying-
seeing that. So
Yes.
look, we're saying, and you're saying if we got rid of the carbon tax, is what you're saying, right? Then we would save $1,000 to $2,000 a year
As a family.
as a family. Yeah.
Yeah.
How significant is that?
Well, for most family, it's a big number.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's literally equals to about a regular worker's half month salary after tax.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very significant for
Right.
a lot of families.
Well, taxes are needed for the government to fund things, right? Why do you think the carbon tax is unnecessary?
Well, carbon tax is basically taxing on people's necessity to live.
Okay.
Okay, so of course, a government will need tax revenues to keep everything functioning, but there are a lot more ways for the government to do it.
So are you saying that we should, when we're applying taxes, we should minimize the amount of taxes on necessities, like all necessities?
Well, we want to get tax. I think the ideal way to tax is move the tax away from people's basic
Needs.
necessities.
Right.
For example,
Yeah.
the seniors, they're also paying for carbon tax.
Right.
Okay. So what, to me at least, we want to expand the tax base. For
Right.
example, we want to explore more natural resources. Canada is a big country. We got lots of resources. We got wood, lumber, gas, as well as natural gas, and oil.
Right.
So all these and coal, okay.
Uh-huh.
So these are important energy sources that we can use today, and we have lots of them. So
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's better for us to encourage the exploration and also export of these
Right.
energy resources we have to
Right.
so
So-
we can collect more revenues.
Yeah.
Right? So that is the money we can use to
Right.
cover.
Yeah.
The
So what I'm understanding
expenses.
is by like getting rid of the carbon tax, we're just making sure a lot of families who are struggling to meet basic needs can meet basic needs. Right? Pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah. But carbon tax, does this apply to corporates or it doesn't apply to corporates? It's more for individuals?
It applies to all sorts of energy.
Okay, then we're saying we should probably have a tax system that's more like a scaling tax system where we don't hard tax people who are struggling to survive, but we can still tax corporates. Is that what we're saying?
Well, it's already a progressive
Uh-huh.
tax system
I see.
that we have for the
Right,
most part.
right.
Yeah.
Well, not for companies.
Yes. I think it's sort of different from the personal to companies. That's true.
Yeah. Okay. This is super interesting. We can talk about this all day, but let's move on to another policy. Okay. So the next thing you have, overall in the acts of tax part, we were talking about just how can we charge people less tax, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is very interesting. So I think that tax is, I wouldn't mind paying tax if I see my tax dollars being well spent, right? So it's a combination of two parts. It's like, yeah, I want to keep more money, but also I want to see my tax dollars being better spent. Do you agree?
Efficiency. That's the word.
But how do we, we don't know. I think a lot of people aren't happy with tax right now. Well, why do you think people aren't happy with tax?
It's taking the money out of our pockets.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
But for example, if there was someone who could use our money better for us, then we would do it, right?
And who would that be?
Yeah, exactly. That's no person right now. But if there was that person we trust, then we would do that.
Probably.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess it's two-part. One is because we don't trust anyone to do that, unfortunately. Well, it's a complicated system, right? When you give out taxpayers, because a country needs to take care of so many people. What would you say is a good amount to lower taxes to that would spur economic growth?
Well, lower tax in itself will spur
personal income tax.
Well, yeah, it will spur spending. Okay, in the society,
Right.
So everybody got more money to spend, and in turn, it will basically provide more money to go around. Everybody's getting more opportunities
Right.
to make more money.
So why are taxes so high here right now? It's probably one of the highest in the world.
I mean, as far as I know, yes, we are one of the highest in the world. But the other big issue is our economy has been stagnating.
Okay.
It hasn't been growing.
Yep.
So if our economy is growing, then guess what? We're going to get more tax revenue.
Right.
Okay, so everybody's better off. So since 2015, this is a true stats. Okay, our GDP per capita was on par, if not just a little bit behind the U.S.
Okay.
This is back in 2015.
2015. Okay.
And the most recent stat after 9 years, so we're literally sitting at about 80%
Okay.
of the U.S. number.
Right.
So that is really, really unfortunate because what that means is our standard of living has been lowered by 20%.
But from 2015 to now, the tax rate has been the same, right?
It's being changed a little bit.
Has
I'm not
it
a tax
increased?
expert,
Yeah.
okay, but the economy, the structure of it has changed, and also as the lack of revenue generation, and also the economy hasn't grown, so everybody's living standard actually has been getting worse.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have no problem with paying less taxes. I'm trying to think of what are the complications of paying less taxes. Like, obviously, government has less funding, right? That's the main.
Not necessarily. Like I
Okay.
said, if you grow the economy, okay, at a lower tax rate, you'll be essentially getting same, if not more, amount of
And have we seen
tax.
this in our country's history before, where we lower taxes and the economy has grown?
Well, I mean, just look at what's happened down in the States, right? So every single time there is a policy, and U.S. tend to be offering less tax rate
Right.
down south than we do here,
Right.
and they've been doing well, right? So
Yeah.
that's an obvious indication as to whether we should look into something alternative than
Interesting.
what we have now.
Taxes. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, taxes is definitely a big thing.